We're not so much worried about building a megaplex here. We're worried about people coming in and understanding that there's a specific calling over their life. And as we're going to learn here in just a few moments, the brother of Jesus said, true religion that's right before God takes care of widows and orphans. So you can have the best band in the world, you can have the largest congregation in the world, you can have the fancy preacher wearing all the good things and flying around all over the world, but if you are neglecting widows and orphans, God looks and says, no thank you, right? And so obviously that's a big deal to us, but it's a pretty big deal to their family. And so as Mike's reading the next question, tell us how. How did you get involved? And how many have you guys adopted now? Are you 4 or 5?
So we've 3 bio kids of our own. We've adopted 4. We're fixing to adopt 2 more and probably 1 more, third, and that's the caboose. That's the little guy that Memphis. He makes a lot of noise, and he's that'll be him. We're praying that works out like that.
4, 3, 1. So 8. Or did I get my math wrong? We're 10. 10 total kids. Oh, I was talking about adopted. So the bio kids, man, those are a blessing too, right? Yeah. Those are great. We work those ones pretty hard as a family unit. Anyway, I don't know if you guys do, but they help out with the orphan stuff. So you are at 7 adopted. 7 adopted.
Well, we're 4 adopted, 3 in foster care.
3 in foster care, and so that probably answers this. So the 3 that you have in foster care system, you are adopting.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we're adopting 2 for sure, and then the third one is still in the process of being terminated from his bio family.
So why? Why in the heck would you do that?
Well, because when they stay in your house long enough, you just can't turn them out. So the reason we got into foster care was, I'm going to be honest with you with this one. I didn't like it at all. I just met my friend Jim Black, who adopted a kid, and I think he put it best. Really, he did. He said he thought of a bunch of reasons why not to adopt a little boy named Praise that they just adopted, and all of them were selfish. And that is really the best description of foster care and adoption that I can possibly think of. It definitely is a sacrifice. You give yourself away. Ministry is cheap. I'm going to be honest with you. Church is really not that much of a burden, honestly. But opening up your home to children that don't have a home is tremendously difficult, especially when they come from such a strong family dynamic that all different sorts of things happen to them, and they're a little complicated, and they're trust issues and all kinds of little social and psychological things they go through. And you just got to hammer through all those, and I'm not sure there's a good method. I don't think Dr. Phil has it or any of those guys, but you just got to work through them and try to build children that learn to love and fear God and desire to serve Him with their heart. It's hard. And my wife was the one that drug us into this one.
Amen.
She was the one
not
that,
in here, but amen.
Yeah, she was the one that made me do it. And I could think of a bunch of different reasons why not to, but she was the one that literally would not give up. She's a very, very strong person, and she just would not yield. And I'm so glad that she did that. I'm so glad that she pushed us into it, having the full knowledge of it, backwards and forwards, and the losses. There's some tremendous losses in foster care when you got to give the little babies away that you love so much, and you know they're going to a home that is not going to love them like yours, and they're going to be mistreated and back in the system again 4 or 5 years later, and you just know that. But you still got to give them back because they're not your child, and there's tremendous losses in foster care too.
Sorry, man, I was thinking about. So I'm. You guys know I'm not going to Belize this round. I'll go with a school has asked me to lead in March, but there's a little girl, and I just want to share just real quick how hungry some of you have never seen these third world environments. But there was a little girl that, as I was there this last time, her name is Shanika, who pulled me aside, and she said, "You're my dad now." And everything inside of me broke because I couldn't do anything. I wanted to, right? I wanted to reach down and grab her and pick her up. Try really hard not to do that too much, okay? Because some of these kids haven't experienced touch, and touch to them means something completely different. Some of you will experience that. But I couldn't do anything, right? I know the process, and so one of the things that I did was I went in and talked, because our church has been going so long, and this is not bragging on anything that we're just kind of explaining. We know all of the human resources people. We know the people in the upper echelons. I mean, even some of their kind of dignitaries, we know them. And I went and I asked, and I said, is Siobhan and Shanika, Siobhan is the brother, adoptable? And they looked at me and they said no. Said they are going to be staying in the system until their parents, the father specifically, and I was going to put the picture up here I got a picture of me hugging her, but I didn't want to see it on Sunday morning. They're going to stay in the system. And I remember thinking, I hate your system. I'll be honest, I was like, I hate you. But I couldn't say that, right? I don't really hate them. Some of you know me. Some of you know my joking style. It's not always appropriate, but it's just me. And I thought, and so as Mike shares some of the things that he's sharing about, it hurts when you love, right? When you love your spouse, it can hurt because there can be an argument. When you love your children, it can hurt sometimes. When you love extended family members, we experience that in small levels. But the more you become like Christ, and the more you desire to see like Christ, and the more he begins opening your eyes, your heart breaks. Let me ask you this, and this maybe this is just for me. How do you deal with I'm just going to call it the disappointments?
Well, I don't think there's a good answer for that.
Well, you don't drink.
No, but life is just full of tragedies of all types. And so I've always found my best solution is just, and I know there's a lot of different coping mechanisms, but, I read the Bible and I pray, and I'm a huge reader of the Psalms. I saw those as one of my teachers gave me a book. The psalm was Chicken Soup for the Soul. It was about the Psalms. And I just thought that I considered the notion of the gift weakness, and I considered the idea of a weakness because, you're strong enough. But as I get older, I just see the value in David sort of talked about that, so the Psalms, and how he was the master at sculpting a relationship with God. And that those Psalms are just littered with information on how to build and how to hold stable and how to develop a relationship with the creator of the universe, where sometimes I think some of the others sort of miss that because of their academics or whatever it was that inspired them to write their portion. So I read the Psalms a lot. Psalms 37 is huge for me. Psalm 39. And I don't think there's a good answer for that. It's painful. And then the last thing I probably do is I just know that this world is not my home. And one day I'll be free from the burden of the struggles of life. And I just know that my final place is going to be better than the one I live now. And this is not the place for luxury and enjoyment. This is a place for servitude and work and effort for the kingdom. And that's helpful for me. So I don't have a good answer, though. I can't take your pain away. I wish that I could.
Amen.